This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
Jesse plays the game as hard as any kid I've ever coached. From the snap of the football to the whistle, this kid's motor is phenomenal. I mean, he's made plays. We highlighted some last night in our team meeting on effort plays, and we could do that with Jesse most any snap. And the guy's chasing the quarterback on a pass rush, and then the ball's thrown, and he's making a hit 20 yards down the field after a couple missed tackles. That's the kind of effort that we have to play with. We're not talented or deep enough to go out and play this FBS schedule and not have fanatical effort, and Jesse definitely leads in that. Austin has totally changed his body with the assist of obviously our strength staff this off season, and he's bringing a lot more punch with him. So I mean, he's up to 260-ish, and he's around 230 in spring, and it's definitely reshaped his body, and it's benefiting him. He's looking good.
Where's that fine line of adding some meat to those D linemen, but also keeping the athleticism so that they can still move?
Yeah, it's a ratio. The minute that you start losing your quick twitchness, if that's a word,
it is now.
But when you start losing that, the weight needs to stop being put on, and it's easier for the guys in the trenches for sure. But he hasn't lost any mobility. And his frame obviously is big enough. A 6'5" guy like him can carry a lot more. Sorry about that. Can carry a lot more than a shorter body. So, but Dom, does a lot of studies on that, and I have full confidence he knows kind of where that line is.
Where's the energy and the buy-in level just all around as a team at this point? You talk about the effort that Jesse's putting out there. How about everybody else?
I think I'm pretty transparent at this point in my life, and it's up and down in fall camp. I have to demand it of myself first, and make sure I'm asking myself, did I bring it today? And I brought it today. I know that, and I thought the kids responded to that well yesterday. It wasn't quite as good as I would have liked, but I think I would be very foolish to set an expectation of the intensity level to be fever pitch high throughout fall camp. I've never played on a team or coached on a team that was the case. What I do expect us to learn is that the attention to detail and the execution has to be there, whether you're emotional about it or not. If we want to win, we're going to have to do every little thing exactly right, and so that's what we're trying to preach more so than. There are times where the intensity needs to be there. Today was one of them. It was third down day, and I mean, you've got to win third down on both sides of the ball, and you've got to play. You've got to understand the importance of that, and so I wanted to make sure the emphasis from our staff, they saw the energy we had for it.
Got a lot of competition in the running back room. How are those guys progressing so far?
More competition there than I thought it would be, and I think the way people respond to competition is it tells a lot about them. And we got some that are wanting the competition, and we got some that are disappointed they're not getting as many reps, and how they handle that will ultimately kind of determine where they are in the pecking order. It's not easy, I get that, and that's one of the things I start paying attention to about day 4 or 5 of any camp I've ever been in, is you start seeing some of the faraway look, and there's freshmen that have been told they're the all-stars on their team, and here they are now, and their reps have diminished, and they may be getting beat some, and man, how you handle the disappointments that come and those challenges, it's a process, and I've had very few freshmen that just came in and were ready-made to play, and so you have to spend a little extra time hoping that you can get them through that wall. I remember my father told me when I left for college, he was a coach, but he just said, look, I don't care what they do to you. I don't care what happens. I don't care. I don't care if you play. I don't care if you don't play. But I can tell you one thing is you will not come home. And after the first year, if you want to come home, you can come home. And we'll go farm, we'll go milk cows or something. But what he did understand is most of us, once we push through that wall of the dejection and disappointment and everything, you kind of find out, oh, there's more to this. It is a journey, it is a process, and unfortunately a lot of people give up on that before they get through that wall the first time, and they find out, man, there is a spring semester and there is a college life, and it's more to this. And so I try to pay a little extra attention to those guys this time of camp.
Keytrell Clark wasn't dressed today. Was that his precaution to keep him out?
Yeah, no, unfortunately he got dinged yesterday, and he was having a heck of a camp. And so he's got a grade 2 shoulder sprain, AC joint there, so we'll have to, hopefully it won't be long, but man, he's going to play this year provided he's healthy, because he's really, really talented.
You said at this point in your life you're pretty transparent.
I am.
It's been a while since you've had fall practice.
Yeah.
Is your approach different? Do you communicate with these guys differently than you would have 2, 3, 10 years ago?
I think, no, I don't communicate any different. The same plan I put in place year 1 at Arkansas State, year 1 at Ole Miss, I'm doing here. It's I don't treat it any different because what I've done on the field has worked. And so I haven't changed that. What is different about me, I think, is I probably have a little extra sense of compassion, and I'm probably a little easier at on the kids with some things, and try to be more understanding and kind of hear the backstory. Hey, how did you get here to feel this way, or how did you, what caused you to be depressed today? Let's talk about that instead of, come on, dude, get your butt out, get your mind right, or which because you get so tunnel vision on the scoreboard and on preparing to win. I think that at this point in my life, I know I am, because I talk about it every morning in staff, and staff's giving me names that I'm asking for. All right, who do I need to reach out to today? Who do I need to find a table to sit with at lunch? And I wouldn't have done that 3 years ago. Not that I didn't care.
No.
But I'd have had them bringing my food to the office, me watching film, and getting ready for the next practice.
There's something to have in your own backstory. I think you appreciate other people's backstory.
There's everybody. I started out fall camp this with a team meeting, and our theme is tougher together. But my whole deal with night 1 was, how did we get here? We all have a story, and obviously they know my story, or at least good parts of it, good and bad, mountaintops, valleys, and they all have one. You all have one. Everybody don't have to live theirs out exactly like the other person, but we all have a story. And I think it's important that our staff understands as much as we can the story. I'm going to do a neat deal at the end of camp that I've never done before, that it will help us know each other better. And I'm really looking forward to that. And it'll be some, probably some things that everybody's not crazy about admitting to, but yet I think young men need to learn to be transparent as much as possible with people that love them and are not trying to hurt them. And so I think our camp is a lot about that. And then our receivers were the first to share their quality of tougher together, and it was an incredible night where they shared, look, this is my story, and this is what I'm going to bring to being tougher together, and why. So it's been some good nights that we've had in those team meetings.
Out of all the newcomers, are there any that are kind of jumping out to you?
Trayshawn Clark, he's good. He's real good. And Tank, Tavion Land, Trey, Braden Mundy's going to be a really good player. Those, and then obviously the JUCO kids. I sometimes don't think of them as newcomers, but Elijah James need to put a little weight on him, but he's got long levers, makes our D-line look different. Devontae Lloyd's got a burst, got to get in better shape. William Green, same, but those corners and those 2 defensive ends, and not that I'm disappointed in any of the others, but they jump off the page at you that they could see some time this year.
What do you see as the biggest systematic change you guys are making, put more pressure on the quarterback this year?
Well, I don't get too involved in telling our defense what they can or cannot do. I know they hurt us today a little bit in pressure with some of their double-edged stuff, but I don't. They're going to scheme the protection each week and try to get the best blitzes that match up to get pressure on given teams. You got to figure out if that's who we are. Are we better at playing some type of change defense and trying to keep things in front of us on 3rd down? Or are we better to try to bring pressure and play man? And we don't know that yet. And I don't know that we will until probably 2 or 3, 4 games in the season, exactly who we are in that regard. But I do know that Josh does a great job of studying protections, and I have confidence they'll have the best option. Whether or not that works or not, it's not always the case, but they'll have the best option.
Having gone through this at previous stops, like you said, the first year, what are the markers early in camp you're kind of looking for to make sure, yeah, we are trending the right direction?
Taking care of the football. And to this point in camp, I shouldn't say this, but to this point in camp, we hadn't had an interception yet from Buckshot, which was number 1 on my list. The guy threw, I don't know how many yards last year, but a bunch. But he threw 18 picks, and 22 touchdowns. We've got to get that down to 5 picks. And so I did think that we could help him, myself and Kent. And to this point, I think we've seen some evidences of that. So taking care of the ball would be a first bench marker. And then defense taking the ball. That hadn't happened a lot, and I think I would rather have it that way. I find myself as when you sit in my seat, when you leave the field, it's hard to be happy. So we had 2nd and 7 and 3rd down competition today, which is that's the money downs. That's the big, an offense went 8 for 8 on 3rd and 1 to 2, which I'm wanting inside as an old offensive coordinator to say yes, but I find myself, dang, we ain't stopped, a single time on 3rd and 1 to 2. Then you get to 3rd and 3 to 5, and the defense kind of had their way there. So, I bounced back and forth on that. And 2nd and 7 was really good competition today. Went down the wire 4 to 4. So, but we're not turning it over right now, nor are we getting any takeaways. So I think I'd rather have it that way with kind of who we are. I think the second benchmark would be, are they retaining? How are they retaining what we've done from day 1 to day 4 and 5? Today's we get a break tomorrow. They need it. You start. We had a few Wednesday walkie-loos today, feeling a little sorry because their leg was hurting, their shoulder was hurting, and so we had Trey's out with the injury, and then Damian King goes out early today with a sprained MCL also. So it's that time of camp. That's the worst part of coaching, is to watch kids that work as hard as ours are working and then get something that happens, and you just pray immediately when that happens that it's nothing serious that would cost them significant time. And fortunately, we haven't had one of those reports to us yet, so we're blessed. And then the third benchmark would just be the mental toughness of the grind. I don't know that they've been through this NFL-style camp, where it's all day. I mean, they have a 3-hour break, mandatory break, but then, we're here all night doing more film, more walkthroughs, and it's a grind. It's a grind on me. You asked me about being out of it. That's probably been the biggest thing is, man, I find myself tired a little in the mornings, and that's not normal for me. And but it doesn't take me long to get going once I get up. So that's what I'd say the benchmarks are right now.
Anyone else dinged, or just those two, King and Clark?
That's the only 2 I know of. I mean, I'll find out later. That's the only 2 I saw leave practice. Yep.
You've been very open about all these guys are recruited, a lot of them for FCS football, and now we're playing FBS football. How are they responding to that?
I tell our guys, I told them on night 1, look, attitude is how we talk to ourselves. What we believe about us has nothing to do with what media says about us, or we have to own who is us, the good and the bad. The parts we don't like, we have to change. And the fact that our kids were recruited to play FCS football, that's a fact. But that doesn't mean that you can't go out and compete in a given game. And so. Now, does our roster look like all the rosters we're going to play this year? Probably not. But I've seen a lot of teams that didn't have the best roster win games. And I've coached a few of them. And I've been on the other end where a team that didn't have as good a roster beat me too. So, we don't give any power. I mean, that's a fact. It's a fact we can't change. And so, but we can't control that. We can control how we prepare, and the energy we play with, and the effort we play with, and so that's our focus.
What's the focus over the next week or so, just as far as?
Today was our first 3rd down. They'll have off tomorrow from practice, the mandatory day off. That's new to me too in camp. I hadn't experienced that one before. So coaches, we've got to catch up on some film. And so I only plan through today, well, and Saturday. Saturday will be our first scrimmage, if you will. It'll be a situational scrimmage. And then we'll do a pretty real one the next Saturday, and we'll do all of our pregame stuff, just like I would on game days. We'll have 3 opportunities to do that before it's real. The focus will now turn to red zone for Friday. Third down was today. We'll do red zone Friday, and then we'll scrimmage Saturday. So that's the upcoming focus of and coming out. Both of those will hit Friday.